In mobile technology, it's the same thing over and over. New device comes out, new device gets reviewed, new device gets forgotten. Almost no one follows up, no one follows along, no one sticks around to see how well a gadget ages over time, because there's always something new to drool over. So let's do something about it. Let's take another look at the phone that almost killed HTC. I'm Michael Fisher. This is the HTC One M9, and this is episode 50 of After the Buzz. Okay, maybe that's a little hyperbolic, but not by much. After the revolutionary design shift of the original HTC One and its excellent sequel, the One M8, people were expecting a lot out of the One M9, and instead, HTC delivered an iterative sequel with an almost identical design for the same lofty price. Just as its rival Samsung launched the most appealing Galaxy S in years. The result was a sales slump that lasted until the release of the radically different One A9 this fall. If you don't like the A9's derivative design or its thinned-out spec sheet, the One M9 is still for sale, and all its high points remain intact. Picking up the phone still feels like picking up an expensive and exclusive item, like a limited edition handset from a fashion house, or something you'd see in a very rich person's suit pocket or handbag. Other good-looking phones have debuted since the M9, but the One M9 is so gorgeous and has such presence in the hand that you forgive even the drawbacks that come with that. The sharp edges that chafe against the palm, and the grabby seams that pull on the hair above your ear. In many respects, this phone has aged quite well since March. While much of the competition now offers front-firing speakers, none of those phones have the depth and richness of the M9's boom sound drivers, quality that makes you actually want to take calls on the speakerphone and crank up the volume on your games. The Snapdragon 810 processor driving those games runs as well as it ever did, which is to say way better than we expected, given all the sky is falling coverage on the chip's overheating issues. Some games trip up at times, but HTC's software seldom, if ever, stumbles, even though our review unit is still running Android Lollipop and not the forthcoming Marshmallow update. Speaking of, we'll be covering that update with another feature as soon as our M9 receives it. Blink Feed is still a good way to get all your social and news updates in one place. The Theme Store still lets you change the look and feel of the software to suit your particular tastes. And the little conveniences that we've come to appreciate remain, like the location-based mealtime suggestions on the lock screen. HTC Sense is one of our favorite Android skins for a reason. It blends the zippy responsiveness of Google's stock software with imaginative and smart features like HTC Zoe and Dot View. Yeah, Dot View requires an accessory, but it's so cool, it's worth it. And do I mind that the display is 1080p and not Quad HD? Nope. Not even a little. Now, where the M9's strengths have been reinforced over time, so too have its failings been compounded. As usual, the more apps you download over time, the bigger the power drain you're going to see through Wakelock issues and so forth. And even with a moderate app load, I'm finding it tough to make it through a full day of heavy use. Judging from the endurance the A9 manages on a smaller battery pack, this is something Android Marshmallow will likely help a lot with. And then, of course, there's the big one. The camera has gotten several updates over time, but it remains pretty lackluster. That doesn't mean you can't get good shots out of it. We've pulled our M9 out of mothballs several times this year, and I've managed some really nice photos, both in the conventional sense and using HTC's very cool filters and effects. But when you put the M9's photos and video alongside, say, the Nexus 6Ps, you start to see where HTC suffers, particularly in settings with uneven incident lighting. Generally, it's much harder to get a good shot from the One M9 than with other smartphone cameras in its class, and that goes for both automatic and manual settings. On the front side, while the added light-gathering abilities of the ultra-pixel sensor are nice to have, the color reproduction is terrible, and sharpness is too. Now, if 90% of your photos and video go to social media and you don't spend a lot of time shooting in low light, you'll do fine with this camera. After only about 2 minutes of playing with filters in Instagram, I ended up with a beautiful shot from the One M9, and I'm hardly alone in that. but that's a big compromise to ask of a smartphone that still costs this much. In the end, it's cost that will determine whether you should still think about buying the One M9 as we close out the year. At its full retail price of $649, it's definitely a no-go. You can get a Nexus 6P with a better camera, a fingerprint scanner, and faster Android updates for $150 less, or HTC's newer One A9 for the same price. Or, if you're really penny-pinching, you can get a OnePlus X with just as beautiful an industrial design for just $249. It's that kind of aggressive competition that makes it surprising that HTC continues to charge what it does for this device. But the usual eBay and Amazon routes offer lower prices, and if you do want to get it directly from HTC.com, the company's been running some incredible sales this season. The most recent one offered 40% off the phone. At $389, well, the One M9 becomes much more compelling. And one more time, it's only going to get better once the Marshmallow update lands. So, if you or someone on your gift list wants a smartphone that places exquisite design above all else, and you can find the M9 on sale, it should definitely be on your shortlist. Otherwise, you're probably better off going with an alternative, or waiting for the next HTC flagship. To see what we thought about the HTC One A9, check out our full review here on YouTube and at Pocketnow.com. And if you've had the One M9 for a while, we want to hear about it. Tell us your experience in the comments below. Till next time, this has been Michael Fisher, Captain Two Phones on Twitter. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.